I think that's nail on the head. I don't want to overcomplicate it. Actively, despite the fact that I felt my work was of quality, and there were times where I had different discussions about my work, where my work was pitched, and I would get feedback about my work from different publishers. And either it was like an aesthetic needs to be changed when everything was very specifically pointed, or narrative element was something that wasn't reflective of what was popularized. I felt like no one was going to make my work. And I could be right. I could be wrong. Who knows? Maybe I'm delusional. Maybe I was immature. Maybe my work wasn't up to par. But actively, I felt like, as far as looking at the way a lot of market systems work, there's a saying that I've heard. I don't know if this is like a fun thing, but it's like, why is so hot right now? Why is super hot right now? I think of like Zoolander right now. It's so hot right now. Like the idea that there was a point in time where I was very willing to engage with criteria and that I would make work in the framework of that criteria.
Sure.
But actively, it didn't reflect a perspective that somebody wanted.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I don't fully understand. These are a list of things that you said to hit. And it was like, well, that's off. And I've talked to people about Black media and the scope of Black media and what can be said, what can be done. I don't think there's nearly as much exploration in media.
Sure.
I think most people right now, it's difficult to market a lot of things. I mean, looking at publishing, what last I checked, I think this is an article that came out in 2021. I believe it said that 49% of book sales are not new books.
Mhm.
And that number had shifted, it like had gone up from like 10 years prior. And so it becomes harder and harder to penetrate an industry that everybody's backlogged on, where they got to catch up on their reading. Everybody's catching up on the reading. Everyone got books from 2018 they haven't touched yet. And so that makes it harder to sell books. And when an industry is suffering a lot of changes, riskier bets become less viable.
Mhm.
With that in mind, I'm not like mad, I'm not like bitter or anything about it, but I understand that there may not be a space currently available for me to tell the stories I want to tell. And so actively creating CMC Comics was kind of my avenue to do that. And I also currently have a friend that the only other person that is publishing under that moniker in some way is my friend Adam Roberts, who is currently incarcerated and makes work that we correspond with. And so being able to table his work and share his work with people have been a really big deal for me. So there are just things that I want to see in the world. And it's yet been presented to me an avenue to do that in a way that I could respect what I was doing or enjoy what I was doing. And so sometimes you've got to treat it like crochet. You just make.